Welcome, everybody. This is Dr. Norbert here. I'm coming to you from my artist's residence out in the beautiful countryside of Norfolk. And with me tonight is somebody just on audio today, but is a friend of mine who you may know already. His name is Nigel Brooks, and he is part on the Muson network, and in fact owns the Muson store as well. So hello, Nigel. Say hello.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Norbert.
Good to have you on the show. It's amazing because, first of all, you're in the States, in the middle of the States, really, kind of in the middle of the country, but still having time to talk with me today because of our shared ability to play Marvel Crisis Protocol on our computers.
Yeah,
And in fact,
absolutely.
you guys are, tell us a little bit about the show that you're on that you kind of restarted as you became more involved in MCP.
Yeah, well, last year at Adepticon, it was like one of the first sort of out of COVID. I think we had Warfare Weekend, and then
Hmm.
that was Adepticon was very quiet. It was very like chill Adepticon, probably like maybe like 50% attended. But like the AMG, the Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff was really popping off. I remember Beanish won the Star Wars Legion like Worlds,
Oh, yeah.
and the takeaway from that was that he got into Marvel Crisis Protocol for that week. I was like, okay, well, if he's just like winning worlds at one game, and he's super jazzed about this other game that he's not, I was like, maybe something because we played Marvel when it came out, and it was a little, when it's just the core box and MODOK and Hulk, you're like, not
Mm.
much to do there.
Right,
Um,
right,
and,
right,
and
right.
the releases were slow, and everybody hates mutants now, but they really put us through the ringer for that first like full year of like no mutants. um so I sort of fell out of it, and then but yeah, Adepticon, the vibe for AMG specifically was like crazy.
Yes.
And I was like, well, I kind of want to be playing games again. I want to like exist in the world again. That'd be cool. And yeah, I started playing it like in October, and we haven't looked back. It's been super fun, and then we got everybody immediately. Everybody was just like jonesing for something to do.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So you're
uh,
saying that your local group was basically trying to reignite themselves, but none of them had committed to any particular game just yet.
we were all playing just Magic, so that was kind of we were like barely there, flatlining on like playing card games instead. And yeah, but then it's just like we played, and it was a little bit of a sell because it's not like the game's just different than like Guild Ball or War Machine but once you get people over the dice problem, and the other stuff, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just a whole different game, and you have to look at it, approach it differently than we were both from War Machine. If people didn't know that, and in War Machine, it was all about trying to smooth out the
War Machine
dice.
was about like actually measuring your wiener, and this game is about actually having fun. So it's like, do you want to have fun or do you want to measure your wiener? And I think having fun's way more. It turns out I've wanted to have fun this whole time.
Yeah, yeah. So you started up. You said, "All right, let's give this a go again," and it seems like it probably took hold, right? Because you guys started playing more regularly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're obsessed with it, and we're sort of new, and we say all these bad takes that make people make fun of us for, and it's great. I like I know it's happening, and I love it. It's like
Yeah.
I think people can live vicariously through our energy, and I like to hope that we're sort of you know, if you are a grizzled vet who's been playing hardcore for 4 years now of MCP, and you're just like, you need an oasis. Every release is like an oasis for you, and that's how like what gets you to the next oasis as you go through like your hopefully we have this energy of like, oh yeah, there's turns out there's like 150 models that you can play with right now
Yeah.
that like don't get used.
Yes. There's so much to it, and so why don't you tell people you're referring to the show that you've put on that people are listening to now? Why don't you tell everybody name of it and how to get a hold of it?
It's Muson Marvel, and it's on the Muson network. You can get us on iTunes and whatever, I think we're on all the things, but I'm not totally positive. We have an RSS feed which is on if you go to Muson Minis. I can't remember what we changed. If you go to the Muson store, so musonstore.com or musonminis.com, it'll take you to the store. There's like a link on the upper right to the network, and then from there you can find the RSS feed. It's like a WordPress site that has like, it's got other podcasts too. And I think we have two different RSS feeds. So if you only want MCP content, you can just listen to us,
Oh,
or you can listen to the whole network.
and that's available through your store page?
Yeah, if you just go to the store page, and you can just go to the top, it's like the Muse Network is one of the top links.
I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I just realized I'm streaming my little browser here, so I'm going to put Muse on Store. There it is, Muse on Store. And I promise everybody who's listening that we're coming on to something about the TTS League. Believe me, but I wanted to, I wanted
it wouldn't be a Nigel collaboration if I didn't tangent everybody.
to. Yeah, exactly. So do I go to Muse Network? Is that the button up here?
Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
Right. Cool. And I am keen on the feed that's for okay. Listen on Spotify, Apple, nice, Google, and Stitcher.
Yep.
And where's this RSS feed link? That's the important one.
Now that I don't know, because I don't understand RSS at all. So
Yeah, me neither, to be honest. I just use the apps.
yeah. So I don't know. I guess message me on Discord or Facebook, and I'll ask Andy Welton, and he'll get.
Oh, Andy does it for you. Okay, cool. All right. Well, at least people know that. And also, while we're on the subject, you are the proprietor of Muson Store, correct?
That's right.
Yep.
Yep.
And you put together all kinds of interesting acrylic, and also I think you do mats now too. Acrylic tokens and mats.
Yeah, we do mats. We got dragged into the mat game. I didn't want to do neoprene at all. I don't want to compete against people who already do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate Mats by Mars. I think they're great, but our supporters or whatever, our customers just like demanded it. Like they just browbeat me into just doing it. So I was like, okay. Especially when the crises changed, there was like a need for it, like right then.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just looking at one. How are these different? What are they made of?
They're neoprene, so they're not vinyl, and they're just flipped. Other than the grass in the winter mat, I just actually designed myself. I did the graphics, but all the rest of them are like asset flips. They're just using like a tiled graphic, and they're just to be generic, like quick and dirty. If you just want something you can put, terrain on,
yeah,
and it won't distract from your terrain and your models. This is just good, And if you want, there's better mats out there if you want like a visual stunning, like if you want like a display thing that you can hang on your wall. There are other people you can go to, but ours are just designed to be like inoffensive, just decent looking.
Well, it's good. I mean, they're basic, but they got all the crises on there. Although I'm told you can actually opt to have those off if you don't happen to like them. You could have them.
That's correct.
Right.
Yep.
But what I wanted to point out to people is that it may not be known to people, but neoprene mats have a problem in that they shrink after they've been made because they're made under heat. And so depending,
it's actually worse than that. There's a thing called, they're all sheared, so they're not cut to a good. So basically, what they try to do their best, but they basically have like a bunch of layers of stuff, and then they cut it. They basically shear it to make the 36 by 36. But if you have like 10 mats, it's called a blade draw, and you can basically experience this if you take paper and you try to cut like 10 sheets with scissors.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What happened?
Yeah. Oh, I see.
So that creates a situation where your mats are not only are they not 36 by 36, but they're not even uniform. They're not even like dimensionally uniform. It's not even 490-degree angles a lot of times. It's like, because it's drawing, the blade draw will always go kind of at an angle. So like one end will be like an 1/8 inch wider than the other end and stuff like that. So we try to print the back line. So the entire 3x3, we try to print on the mat so that you have like a true, you're measuring if you want to measure to the edge of something, you can measure to the outside print line versus what the manufacturer, because if you ever use an AMG mat, they're actually wild. Like if you actually set up the crises without the pre-marks, it's like, it's all over the place.
Yeah. So I'm looking at a picture of it now. Hopefully it's big enough for people to see it. Let me see if it makes this bigger. No. Where you can kind of see it a bit more readily. But so the reason I brought it up is that, okay, you explained why these mats are not exactly 3 feet by 3 feet. So what you've done is make them bigger than that and then put lines down where the deployment zones are so that people can know, just put the models on that line, and then you're definitely within the right distance.
Yes, and then we print the outside line, so it's not just the deployment zone line, but also the 3 foot by 3 foot line, so you know what your true edge map is. So, because again, most mats are wider or shorter, and so you should, it's nice to know like what the actual true. Because honestly, all that really matters is the deployment zone lines. If your map could be literally 3 and short on all 4 sides, as long as your deployment zones are true to your objectives,
Right.
that's essentially all you're going to be playing.
Yep.
But some people do like that outer edge to be like
Perfect.
Yeah, because you got to run Black Cat to somewhere, right?
Speaking of running a model to the very corner, I got Mike from the Danger Room who wants to come and join us. So let me go ahead and see if I can add him into the call, right? Yeah. Cool. Let's see how I do this. No, I don't want. How do I? Let's see. I want to add people. How do I add more friends to this this call? Let's see. Add friends to DM. Huh. Oh, is it? Are you friends with me on Discord? Maybe that's why it's not letting me add somebody else.
I might be now.
Oh wait, here's another.
I think I was though.
Here's another button. No. How do I do this? I thought it was just a matter of hitting a button and then he would come on. Let me see if I can do it this way.
Oh, I see. You have to probably message him directly, and then he accept a friend request or whatever. Then
yeah. Ooh. Now I've cut off Nigel. Yeah, hey Joe. Hey, Mike, I cut off Nigel just now because I'm trying to add both of us into here. Let me see if I can do this now with him. Hold on.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Here we go. Doing this on the fly. There we go. Is that Nigel and Mike?
I'm here.
Is that you?
Nigel here, but I don't.
There he is. I can hear. And Mike, I take it you know Nigel very well.
I have not actually talked to Nigel in person or over voice. I've just talked to him on Discord.
Yeah.
Ah, amazing. Okay.
I was just giving him the business about recording too short of an episode.
About Hellfire, yeah.
Yeah, people want to they want to know everything about Hellfire Club. That is a good topic, actually. Mm-hmm. All right, Mike, we just finished getting introductions in from Nigel and about how he started up a podcast that's kind of about them. They're like a group that's kind of joining into the MCP world as even though the game is, in the middle of its kind of life cycle, so to speak, or, well into its maturity level. So that's been kind of a fun exploration for people who are new, but also people who are not so new and are kind of interested to see what new people's opinions are. On the other side of the equation is your podcast, The Danger Room's one of the earliest ones there, very competitively minded, and you're one of the regular hosts there. So say hello to everybody.
Hey, everyone. Yeah, Danger Room was originally not my podcast, but it is mine now. So, yeah, it's been around for almost 3 years, actually.
Yeah, it's really cool. And you, I'm just going to kind of share my screen that I'm watching, so you'll see like a Google. What do you mean? A Chrome screen coming up. And you just released the latest episode on Hellfire Club. So if people are interested in that, go ahead and tune that in. Okay.
Yeah, every other week we do an episode, and so.
How do people get a hold of your show?
It should be on all of the places that you can access podcasts, like Apple, Spotify. It's on Anchor, Spotify for podcasters or whatever, and then it kind of propagates from there. So,
got it.
Just search Danger Room on any podcast platform, should find it.
Cool. Good to have you both on here. So I'm really glad you could both come on because we have Nigel, who is relatively new, although very competitive. Minded player for many years, and then we have you, Mike, who are known to be a competitive MCP player. And the reason that we're on the call today is that season 11 of the TTS League is got registration open, and so we thought we would take people through how what is the TTS League, how do you join it, and I'll live demonstrate how to join it, and then we could talk a little bit about what you guys are thinking about taking into the league. So, Nigel, why don't we start with you? Actually, how did you find out about the TTS League, and what do you think it brings to the table? More importantly, why should people join this season?
Well, before I even got into the game, so between Adepticon and October, I started to expose myself to content just to sort of like get interested in the like the content's fascinating. Actually, we're kind of lucky. A lot of the podcasters uh have interesting just discussions anyways. Like it's works. You don't even have to know about MCP to sort of enjoy it. Um and so one of those things was your coverage. I think at that time, I don't even know, but the TTS League was on YouTube. There was a point. This was like again just right off COVID, so it's kind of coasting with like a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
And it hadn't. I think it's probably a little less big a deal now, but like the primary way to access it actually for a lot of people was just the TTS leagues, and there was just tons and tons of content and tons of churn about it, and that was great. That was great for me. It helped me sort of get into the game. But that's how. And then I just was like, we started playing in October, and I think like the month later, it was like a league started, and I was like, well, oh, what the hell? And I had to like kind of boomer my way through the process of like applying and getting in, and getting a Discord, and having people have like 2 1-hour windows a week that they can schedule a game and like that stuff.
Yeah.
It was like a very, very fast paced thing, but you got your feet wet, and then I took the next one off. So I think that was like season 9. That might have been season 8 actually, and then 9 and 10 I took off just because of work stuff. And now for 11, I'm like, I'm back. I'm ready to go.
Fantastic. So, what do you think in a world of where live events are starting to happen? What still attracts you to playing on the TTS League?
You can play literally anything if you don't own it. All the cards that you have access to any of your jank tank brain. You can do it. The other thing is like your friend circle, your pod, and your local meta might not really be representative of like what you actually need to know. Like if you want to play at Adepticon or LVO or NashCon, etc., you got to play against the big boys. And I'm not even talking like just everything from Kingpin to Malekith to whatever. There's like a lot of questions being asked, and your pod, your meta, whatever might socially engineer the big things out, and that's not fair to you. Like so, the TTS League is a great way to just give yourself tons of exposure, because it's not like ever going to go away, and no one's ever going to be nice to you at a big event. So, like you should just grit it and bear it, and just get in there.
Yeah, take your lumps and learn from it. And
100%.
With basically a very low barrier to entry kind of a system. You need a computer, obviously, which I presume you have, and then the low cost investment of buying the tabletop simulator mod is all you need to do, and after that, then you can play as much as you want.
Yeah.
So, Mike, go ahead, finish.
Oh, I was, and even if you don't want to play in the league, just get it and like practice with your you'd be amazed at how easy to not have to clean up when you're done and put your models away and put them back in your case and like haul them in your car.
Yeah.
And like there is something to be said for, I like to play at the game store and in person like at least twice a week, but a game or two on TTS is great, like because you can just bang a game out in like 45 minutes and there's no mess to clean up. You can just flip the table when you're done and get out of there. Whatever.
Cool. You're absolutely right. Mike, let's turn to you because you have come back over and over again to the league. And like I said at the beginning, you're a competitive player. What keeps bringing you back?
Similar reasons to what Nigel said, and getting mostly just more experience, more reps. It can be hard to find, like, there's some things in the game that are not the fun things to play against, but you kind of have to acknowledge that they exist, and you can unleash those unapologetically in the league. That's kind of not the big thing, but it's mostly just that it's like a matchmaker, right? Like I can just find a game, and I don't need to do any effort other than schedule it.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah, I think you guys are making great points. Some of the things that I've heard from people is that they don't have people to play with nearby, so this is like their only way to get those games in. Amazingly, and I'm very pleased about this, I've seen people tell me that they've watched the YouTube replays of our battle reports that me and Huggy do typically, and they got interested enough in watching those then to actually start playing the game in real life, which is amazing. This is exactly what we're hoping to be happening. And and also trying out new stuff without first buying it, give it a chance and see if it's worthwhile playing with it. Or if you're the other way around, if you want to support the company and feel like a little awkward otherwise, just play the models that you happen to own, but in the TTS League where you find an opponent more readily. So I think the point is that there's just loads of reasons to play this as either your primary way to play if you have nothing else available to you, but also as a supplement to your in real life gaming.
There is one final. Well, I don't know. It's a final. There's actually just a billion reasons to do it, but also playing against a global community is fascinating. So, like, if you want to take a season and play on Oceania or Europe or whatever, you can get wacky as long as you're willing to like buck the schedule. But then you can, you kind of be like a world traveler in a sense and experience, really like outside the box metas from you. But I think it's cool. Like my first one, I played on the West Coast meta, so I got to play against like Hyper Viper or some other people.
Yep.
And now I'm going to play in the Central just because Central's probably Shark Tanky enough that I don't need to go outside. But I do want to play in Europe at one point or in the Oceania or whatever. It would be fun to try those.
Yeah, I've seen lots of people who've been in the leagues many seasons now to change the kind of lineup that they see by playing in different brackets than before.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a game that you covered where you had Rich mid and he was just playing against some guy from Wisconsin. And I was like, what the hell?
That's right. That's Pastrami, Johnny Pastrami.
Yeah.
Johnny plays in the EU bracket because I think his hours are weird.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, he does shift work, and so his free time is in our evening time here in Europe.
Yeah. Right.
Mike, one other thing though about this, how we were saying you can kind of supplement in real life by playing some TTS. It works the other way around too. If your TTS is like the primary way that you're getting to know people, I think you and I both recognize, or a lot of people, including us, recognize at this Adepticon, how many people we already knew that we never met in real life before, but it was great to see on site and you already had a connection because of your TTS games.
Oh man, it was so cool. I've made so many friends through this game already that that's really like the best part of the events, and you don't really get that as much in the league, but yeah, the league has supplemented like making friends and such. I mean, if the league didn't exist, like I would never have inherited Danger Room, right?
Right, sure. Yep.
Oh, there you go.
Good point. All right, then. I'm going to go direct everybody's attention to the screen because we talked enough about what the league is and why you should get involved with it, whether you're new or whether you're experienced, which is the point. Everybody is welcome to play. So the first thing you need to do is join the TTS Discord server. And I will put a link to that. The links are all around the internet, but I'll put a link to that in the show notes so people can do it directly. So you want to join this because the TTS Discord is where all the communication about the league happens. Once you've joined it, you need to go, this is important, a little odd, you need to go to roles, the roles channel, which is in this like welcome section. And what you need to do here is click on the big button for which bracket you want to play in, okay? And what that does is it opens up a bunch of channels that you wouldn't see otherwise here called TTS League. And in particular, there's TTS League documents, league announcements, league chat. All those will then become available to you, plus one of the bracket channels where you can talk to people. And so then if you go into league announcements, for instance, but the latest announcement here is from me. And if you scroll to the top of it, you will see the link to the Google document. So the Google document is the entire rules pack for the league. But in short, basically, it's one game a week for 6 weeks, and it's open rosters. So you can play a different roster from week to week. So you can stick to the same one if you're trying to test it out. You can tweak that one along the way, or you can just switch it around no matter what you're in the mood for that particular night. So it gives us a lot of flexibility, and maybe I can hear from Nigel and Mike both about how you feel about that open flexibility. Why don't we start with you, Nigel?
I think it's awesome. When I played there, I think the league I played in was locked list. This was right before the open list became a thing, and yeah, it's huge. Being able to like iterate all season. Is just more interesting to me than being stuck and then having having people be able to look up your list and then
Yeah.
prep for games against you and stuff.
Yep. Mike, how often were you swapping from week to week in Season X?
In Season X, I played Brotherhood for 5 rounds, I believe, and then I played X-Men in round 6.
Mm-hmm.
So not very frequently.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember. I think I might have changed like a card or two here and there, but I played the same faction for the most part.
Cool.
Just real quick, when I first played, I was like brand spanking new. I just was thinking about Mike's point on the last time. I think for new players, right, you don't even know what you want to. You have no idea what your identity is, or like how you want to, what models are important, or what their values. So like that was frustrating to me. Was like, by game 2, a model that was trash in game 1, I can't get out of my roster now.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I think if you've been around the block for a bit, you probably won't make. Like I'm just thinking now, I probably won't change at all this time. Like I'm pretty happy with my 10, so I don't know.
Well, you say that. I guarantee you, after one game, you'll be changing stuff. But
Yeah.
I played. My first season was like season 5, and I've played in a bunch. And back then, there were lock lists, and I remember you would be locked in for 3 games, and then you could change in the mid-season, and
Right.
you'd be locked in for cuts. And yeah, feeling stuck in like experimental choices that you made at list lock feels kind of bad.
Mm-hmm.
And also the list lock it created like a time sink if you wanted to take it, to where you could like do a lot of work and prep for your opponents, and I feel like that gets away from the tournament experience.
Right.
uh,
Right.
so
And what you're referring
I
to there is like when you go to a tournament at a store or at a convention, you don't get to know stuff in advance. You show up to the table and suddenly there's a player and who knows what they brought.
Yeah, and you have to adapt to what they're doing immediately. Whereas when the lists were locked, you could study your opponent's list for a week and figure out, like, all right, what happens when I win prio? Here's every scenario, and you just follow the flow chart at that point.
Right. Yep. Okay, we talked about it a bit before, but the important thing that you have to have, like the only one important decision you need to make is that you have to decide which bracket you want to play in. And the trick of it is that you need to be able to play the games around 7 p.m. of the time zone that bracket is in. So we have one called West, which is for Pacific Standard Time. Central for Central Standard Time, East for Eastern Standard Time. That's all in the United States, of course. Then we have a branch in Europe, which is incorrect. This doesn't say it shouldn't say GMT. It should say BST now. I have to change that. This is basically 7 p.m. London time, or 8 p.m. For the rest of Europe east of London. That you need to be ready to play in the Europe bracket. And then Oceania is dedicated for the Oceania region, which is mostly the east, most of Australia, I suppose, the east coast of Australia. But any of those countries in the Far East countries, we certainly would welcome if this time zone is convenient for you. But don't make this about like the geography. Like if you live in Europe, you don't have to play in the Europe bracket if for some reason the East time zone is where you want to play better. And you may just have a preference for that, or you may be forced to because of the way your personal circumstances are. But none of that matters because you can go ahead and choose what you like. And then the last thing that you have to do is once you've joined the Discord, you've hit the roll button for which bracket you want to join. The last thing you want to do is actually sign up on the Longshanks link. And so there's all these links here, one for each bracket. You click on that and you register yourself. And that's it. You're done. You're in the league. And then you'll have your own channel to speak into. So here's like the West channel where people are already chatting about the league. And you need to do this. The important thing is you need to do this by the evening of May 14th. So just about 2 weeks from now, May 14th, because we then close registration and do the draw that evening for games to start Monday morning, starting on Monday, which is the 15th of May. I think that's pretty clear. Have you guys noticed people having any trouble getting into the league in the past? That maybe I can talk about how to get around that problem.
You've essentially gone through. I personally had troubles getting into league, but only because it's uncomfortable and weird. If you haven't driven somewhere before and you're looking at your GPS and you feel like you're gonna get, you just go into boomer mode. but that's essentially. But you've explained it. I think you've covered
Yeah.
all of the bases.
So all around on the internet, I'll also put in the, if I can, in the show notes, I'll put in this like a little quick guide that I've put together to explain to people how to join the league. But it's those 3 steps basically, and that's it. And then after that, you have a very friendly bracket TO who will be communicating with you via the bracket channel, and they'll be telling you when the round's been drawn, and if there's questions about it and stuff like that, you just have to do @InfinityWatch in any of the channels, and somebody will come around and answer your question. Okay, let me quickly show people one last thing about how to get started. If you're brand new to TTS, if you go to my YouTube channel, which I'm calling up just now, so it's YouTube/C/
There's the tactics cards.
let me turn him off. Dr. Norbert Games. Dr. Norbert Games is my channel, and I've pinned it because it's become so popular. I've pinned this intro game that a friend of mine and I went through, and the intro game isn't about how to play MCP. It's going to presume you know how to play MCP. It's an intro to how to work with the mod. In other words, how to actually work the different buttons and all the ticks and tricks and tips that you could use to get around in the mod faster. Mike, why don't you talk a little bit about your experience with this mod, just how it is to actually use it?
Oh, the mod is fantastic. I've been told it's one amongst the best mods on TTS for any game. I don't have any reason to disagree with that. I haven't played other minis games on TTS, so I don't have experience there, but there's no complaints from me about the mod. It's like runs about as smooth as you would ever want. There's a bunch of 3D sculpts. Like the game is set up for you automatically. There's hotkeys to speed the game up. Just get familiar with those, and you'll be cruising along real quick. We can bang out games in like 45 minutes a lot of the time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's funny because I just started playing a bit of TTS to practice something for in real life. I haven't had a chance to play in a little while. And it's so funny how some aspects of in real life play are a lot easier than playing on TTS. And then there's other aspects of TTS that are actually much nicer than playing in real life, which is kind of funny.
Right.
Yeah,
TTS.
Yeah.
I equate it like if you're playing just to get reps, it feels like a gym where you could just be very efficient with your time. For the league, it's just great for the matchmaking and playing a bunch of different people.
Yeah. How was it for you, Nigel, to between playing on TTS compared to in real life? Do you think it takes a slightly different skill set somehow?
Yep. Yes, absolutely. Well, but just in a quick, it was like a warning to cautionary tale to new players is definitely go to Norbert's video, and then also play. There's always an issue with a lot of people with their devices, depending on their drivers or whatever. Make sure you actually like load a game, and maybe even against a friend or something. Like get one just going, get comfortable with the tools, the snap to. Like there's a couple of like fidgety bits. Like once you play even one game, you feel pretty comfortable by the end of the game. But like if your first game is like a TTS game, it might be 40 minutes before you even load in because you have to go through all that. So like just definitely do a little bit of homework. It'll decrease a lot of anxiety and stress for you. But yes, and then the difference between the two is like in real life, you have to be pretty comfortable with like reality being all over the place. You know, like every time someone puts a stick down, it bumps the model backwards, it bumps the other model back, the other way, it hits a piece of terrain, and like they can't put the stick down.
Right.
You have to judge come over to like take the piece of terrain, or like there's so much nonsense going on with trying to get your model to go from A to B. And it's always like the game state's just so like fluid or like, not hard. And at TTS, it's like I put the template down, I lock the guy to the template.
Yep.
I can, you put it on the other end of the template. Like once you understand that, and that's like there's like these little things you'll do where you'll like put the template down, you'll forget to lock the guy to the template, and you'll like accidentally just throw him across the field, and then you'll like fudge the template. And you have to like there's no like Control Z go backwards button.
No.
So you have to like be mindful. That's part of that practice. Like watch the tutorial, practice the game. But it is cleaner for the most part. There's a couple things in TTS that can occur that can't really occur in real life, but that's fine. You have to take.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a different skill set. You'll definitely get used to it, but it is a little bit different, and that's just the nature of working in a different medium than so in real life or on the computer.
Mhm.
I just wanted to mention PHP Chrono made a good point to saying that even though we're talking about the league today, trying to get people to join the league, you can also just join our Discord, and there's a looking for group channel or looking for game channel that you can find people any time of the day, because it's a world server, global server, so somebody's on somewhere, and so you can get a game that way. And furthermore, you can play this game yourself. So like Nigel was saying, if you need to practice just to get used to the mod and everything, just go ahead and try it. It's just it's as the name implies, a simulator. It's supposed to simulate real life, so you could play both sides of the table on it. It's just a physics engine. And while we're talking about the
Okay.
next part, I'm going to turn off the sound, but I'll play this video in the background so people can kind of see how this thing works. Not that big though. Hang on.
A lot of people just use this to goldfish, strategies, right? So like that's a good way to practice it. Is like, I've got like a lockjaw Malekith. Where can I touch on the first turn with my like whatever? You can go through. It's an awesome mod to set that up. I 100% did that with when I was playing Sentinels, and I was like, can lockjaw at the center line
Right.
put 2 Sentinels on D points on those outside Ds, with his just to make sure it's mathematically possible.
Right.
Which I think it's not. It's like slightly off. But the point being is that I got to at least try it in a true environment that like wasn't giving me false positives by fudging the models around and stuff.
Yeah. And in fact, I think, Mike, you spent a lot of time, you and Jacob, when he was back on the show, about those first turn plays using the mod. And in fact, I hear Sploosh, your other co-host, when he has a question, when you guys bring up a question about whether somebody could reach or something, I hear him in the background fixing it up on the TTS, and then he answers the question during the course of the show.
Yeah. We don't do that so much these days, but there was a lot of that in like the first 2 years of the game when new models were coming out and people were trying to measure out what was possible on round 1.
Mm-hmm.
Really great for that.
Cool. All right. So we've convinced everybody this is great and exciting. Let's talk a bit about what you guys are going to be bringing in there. So, Mike, why don't we start with you? You played a lot of Brotherhood last season, Season X. At Adepticon, though, you were trying out the Guardians Thanos list and got a lot of lessons there, as I understand it. Also playing Avengers against us in the doubles. So you've got a lot of different angles to go for. I'm very curious. What are you leaning towards for Season 11?
So I'm playing Shield these days. I have decided that Shield is a really good team to have for the WTC. As on like list for the team, so I've been playing them all year, or I'm going to be.
Nice.
I've been playing them since on.
You've been
I've been
playing them since.
Shield.
You've been playing them since when? Sorry.
Since Adepticon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I came to that conclusion like after Adepticon, and I've been playing them since then. But I've been having a ton of fun. I've been working with Vince about how to like fix a lot of the matchups or the bad matchups and stuff. So that's a work in progress. But at least in the team format, I can just give X-Men to my teamate.
Right. Yeah. So a couple points there to help people who are newer to the scene. WTC stands for the World Team Championship. This is where teams from 5-person teams from various countries come together to play in a team format of MCP. This first one is going to be taking place in Copenhagen in late October. And I'm super stoked that you're one of the team coming over, Mike. And you're absolutely right. Shield is notorious for having one bad matchup in particular, which is X-Men. And in the team format, that usually can be avoided because you'll be able to get your captain to not put you into that particular matchup.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really excited for that, and I think Shield is a stellar list to have in the team format. They don't have a ton of character overlap with other teams, and you're able to dodge the nightmare matchup that is X-Men. Yeah.
So you don't have to tell us the tech, but it's Vince and the other person. Vince is from the Size 3 Taco Truck podcast in Chicago, also runs Second Wind. Really, really nice guy. Spent a load of time with him at the end of Adepticon this year, which was so much fun. And he's a big Shield fan and has been trying to figure out how to manage the X-Men matchup. So it sounds like you and him are in secret dojos to work together on that problem.
Yeah, we even have Nate helping us, Ghost Deer, who is an X-Men player. And Nate's even been playing some Shield to see if there's some avenues we could take. And we have some ideas. I mean, we've been messing around with like Dr. Voodoo, Spider Woman, maybe like Shield Mobile and some kind of extract plan. But so it's a work in progress. But yeah, Vince won LVO with Shield, so
Yeah.
he's definitely knows his stuff.
What can you briefly describe what the problem is about X-Men into Shield?
So Shield's best game plan is they really want to. There are a bunch of characters with guns, and they don't have a lot of movement tricks, or I guess I should say they don't have charges and stuff like that. So you're really wanting to bank off of either not taking move actions or moving through the leadership, because you can aggressive forward off the leadership, or you have calling commandos move your characters around. But like you're really bad at chasing people, and you have a lot of long range, like low dice count guns that you're just hoping to just keep chipping people. Like they're really like pure attrition. Like you really wear people down. Status conditions, bleed, just rapid fire guns, and it just adds up over time. And then you combine it with like Eye in the Sky and Sacrifice to make it really difficult for your opponent to kill what they want. So
Right.
you can just keep wearing them. You can make their turns inefficient, and you just beat them out on efficiency. And then at some point, you can Helios Laser something off the table with all your characters funding it. The reason why X-Men is so bad is for a bunch of reasons. One, X-Men have multiple ways to steal extracts off the midline, so they're not sitting there for them to get shot at. Second, they have global cover, so they're basically just -1 damage against your entire team all the time.
Right.
Multiple characters of theirs have stealth, namely Storm and now Psylocke. Logan, X-23 both have healing factor, so the chip damage is not as effective.
Interesting.
And then lastly, just the scenarios X-Men play are completely inverse of what Shield wants to play. X-Men play secures that are spread out, high mobility requirements to like flip secures. Shield does not want to be taking move actions to flip things.
Yep.
And their extracts are also fast-ish, which Shield kind of needs the game to be slow so they can wear you down. So there's a lot of things not going for Shield in the matchup.
I see that now, and they're a nuisance for me all the time too. Playing Shadowland Daredevil lists for similar reasons, actually. Nigel, what are you looking to do this season, season 11?
I'll be playing Hellforce. It'd be an X-Force Hellfire Club combo, but it'll probably just be Hellfire Club all season. I started doing it, and the more I do it, the more it's like Emma. I just played at a tournament, and two of my opponents were like, "Is just Cable on the tray to like throw people off then?" Or it's a little salty, but you know, it's like she's really good, turns out, and so I'll probably be playing a lot of Hellfire Club.
All right, couple of questions for you then. Do you ever put her into diamond form? That's the big controversy about her.
Yeah, all the time. Like, I don't do it because I think it's good. I do it because people dive on her and he has to survive. I do it because I'm paying pay to flips, and I need somebody. Everybody else is trashing stuff. There's a few points. So my strategy is like, I want tactics cards that she can play that they can't react to. So I like to have fastball special and weapon X programs and that type of card. And then I'll deploy those cards early to get like a fast advantage. And then after she's emptied the payload and they can't usually you'll like daze 2 models or something. She then has to flip points or do stuff and just be alive and let the leadership tear people down. I don't know, it's like nuanced. It's not like, but I do it all the time. Yes, I 100%. The other thing too is I play with like Colossus, so diamond forming to get into range of a bodyguard is even better than just having better defenses. Getting repositioning so that you get cover. There's just a billion applications where it's not bad. There's a billion where it's not great. I've definitely had to do it, and it feels bad because her next turn is just mopey. But it is what it is.
Huh. And what kind of, Hellfire Club, for people who don't know, is a wide open affiliation. Literally anybody apart from Dormammu, when they join it, can become part of the Hellfire Club. And so it's bewildering, the choices. But Nigel, you're up to the task. You're a veteran wargamer. What philosophy are you taking to try to figure out who to put into that Hellfire Club?
Uh, well, I started with just taking like an old Magic format or an old Magic ism that people bemoan is just good stuff,
Yeah.
like a good
Yeah.
stuff deck, and that's what she can definitely do. So that's where you start, and then you can lean that into like a skew. So you can go, I want to play all DR models, or I want to play all high mobility models, or like do things, and then I ended up settling on. I just realized that she kind of allows me to do what I wanted to do in the first damn place, which was play a fluffy thematic
Mm, fun.
list
Yep.
that is good. Like turns Colossus is disgusting, and he's like a maligned model,
Hmm.
but turns out she prevents you don't. I play Indom anyways because he'll at least stop a throw that way, but she stops a lot of the other displacements for him, so he's relevant. And then him generating extra power and healing is like a backbreaker.
Hmm.
There's models that she turns on that like aren't popular, but it's worth taking a look at. And then you know, um, Stylock. I don't know. There's just so many good. It just turns out that like she turns on.
Hmm.
I don't have to go get Lizard or Blob or some of these other models. I can just stay in Fun Town
Yeah.
and still be relatively competitive. I understand I'm taking a little bit of a hit, but like it's a lot less of a hit than playing all those fun models with cable, right? It's like
It's interesting you say this though, because Dormammu had kind of a similar approach, and he juices people up really well. But he's a liability in the list because he's 8 points and a big target, and he's very dice dependent on his output as well. Which Jean what's or Emma Frost doesn't seem to have as big a liability when comes to the Hellfire Club.
oh, she's not. Dormammu is like a Dormammu delivery engine. Like everything's like if you can't enhance him being, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like having guys that just get extra power is cute, but like you have to make your 8 points work. Whereas
Hmm.
with Emma, she's turning on. It's the reverse. She's like making everybody 1 point more worth of like value,
Yeah.
and then you have to decide if she's a tax or not. And I don't think she is. I think she's at least power neutral. Like you know, but I think even in DeLuca's podcast, they thought she was a little under a 4 value. But like, I think that's just your mileage may vary
Hmm.
type of situation. Like,
Hmm.
Yeah, I've played with Emma and I've played against her, and I think she's just very hit or miss, right?
yeah,
She's not bad, but she can have bad games. And a lot of the upper tier of the fourth threats, I think right now don't have bad games. So
yeah.
if you're willing to accept that about Emma, then she's fine.
Yeah. I just realized if people are watching the show here and they see some timers being played, we don't play with timers during the normal season of the league. So it's the first 6 weeks are a normal league. You should talk to your opponent about how much time they have to play, so you can kind of have an expectation of how much time to play. The games take a little bit longer than in real life once you get used to things, but not much longer, like maybe 15, 20 minutes longer. And but what in the if you are X-1 at the end of those 6 weeks, so either undefeated or have lost just one game, you get invited into the elimination rounds. Elimination rounds are 5 week single elimination tournament, and we do play those with chess clocks just to make sure that both players get an equal amount of play time. And so that's why you're seeing that chess clock in this overhead display here. This was a elimination round that we're showing. All right, for the last segment of this show today, I thought I'd ask Mike and Nigel to talk a bit about the meta. What are we going to see in season 11? What's your predictions, Mike? What's going to be popular?
Oh, geez. It's probably going to be our next episode for DR. So there's going to be a bunch of stuff. But right now, Malekith is pretty popular. I think so. It just comes down to like, are people wanting to play what's the perceived top of the meta
Hmm.
or not? You'll run into a lot of people in the league who choose to play what they wish. But if I had to just say objectively top of the meta, I mean, Hulk Malekith Hulk and Malekith are very strong, and they show up in a lot of lists.
Mm-hmm.
The Cat Dog Malekith list is very. I don't know if it's very popular, but there are people playing it. It is pretty scary. That's Malekith with Lockstraw, hence the name.
Yep.
Hulk is basically everywhere. I mean, Hulk has won. He's won all but one of the leagues since he was buffed.
Oh gosh, that's an interesting statistic.
So yeah, he was buffed, and then Morgan won with Hulk and Guardians, and then Magic Nick won with Hulk and Avengers, and then Pat won with Guardians. There was no Hulk, and then Joe has just won with Hulk X-Men. So
Yep.
Hulk has won in 3 different factions in 4 different leagues. So expect to see Hulk. And I think X-Men are really strong. Obviously, they were in the finals last season. I think Avengers are solid. Guardians are very good. Criminals are always solid. What else is good?
What do you think? Any new releases going to be surprise sleepers?
I think Gwenpool and Squirrel Girl's card is very good. The one that teleports you. I think Immortal Hulk could show up more than people are probably expecting. Rhino will continue to be good. I think Agent Venom is stellar in his affiliations.
Yeah.
And I'm wary of Cosmic Ghost Rider because he's seemingly going to be a high threat Guardians model, which is very scary just on that basis if he's good.
Yeah. And that's a good point you're bringing up about the league. Since it's open rosters, the moment any model gets into the mod, which is we generally shoot for release days to do that, you can start using them. And, obviously you can practice ahead of time, but for official league games, you can use that model. And so when Cosmic Rider shows up, that may be something you want to swap in straight away.
Yeah, exactly.
Nigel, you were talking a bit about how Immortal Hulk and MODOK Supreme Scientist were intriguing additions to the game. You think you're going to see some more of those?
I don't know if you'll see a lot of MODOK because he's going to take. I think he'll take. It's kind of like Hellfire Club's kind of taken a bit to sort of get going. Yep. I think Hellfire Club, though, you will see a lot of in this league, or you'll see a fair amount of it anyways. Mm-hmm. It'll be represented. I think you'll see Midnight Suns, though. People have been looking for a reason to get back into it. Immortal Hulk is disgusting. He's just super annoying, and him being in affiliation is just great for them. And they can literally play leaderless with in affiliation leaderless with him and still play, Midnight Siege or whatever, and have all the fun. I think those 2 things will be the new things that you'll probably see a bit of. But yeah, MODOK, people should. He's pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking of putting him into my Shadowlands Daredevil list as an alternative leader when the crises don't work out. Because unlike Pingpin, I think he wants the same sort of models that Shadowland Daredevil wants, but he plays a different kind of game than Shadowland Daredevil does with those same models. And so I think that might be complementary to manage all the different crises that are showing up.
I had played him as kind of an alternative to Iron Man in Hellfire Club. He's a different model, but you don't have to take Helios. You just Helios every turn. You're just you're generating all that extra power and you're just dumping it and then bodyguarding off to people. And so you can play this Hellfire Club list that's Sabretooth and Venom and him and Emma and you're dumping everybody's power to just have these blaster turns. And it's it sort of works well together. There's a little ecosystem that's happening where Emma's keeping his big butt in one place, and he's shunting off all the attacks on the people who clap back, and it's super fun. I don't know if it's any good, but it's crisis dependent because you need everybody to be a murder ball.
Yeah.
But it's pretty annoying. It was definitely. There's a lot of things people really think about his leadership. But I think he's pretty good outside. I think he's good as a splash character, honestly.
Interesting. Yeah. I toyed with the idea too. He's a fantastic turret, especially only at 4 points. All right. We're going to kind of start wrapping things up here. I wanted to say real quickly that I'm really intrigued by season 11 because we could see players saying what Mike's suggesting, which is where they're going to hone these really good rosters and bring those back in to the game so they can, have the maximize their chances to win. On the other hand, TTS has been known for experimentation, and I wonder how many people are going to try to have used the off season that we've had, the last 4 weeks we've had off, trying out new stuff, trying out these new additions to the game, trying out new affiliations, and maybe having an entirely different meta appearing within the league, and as a result, starting to influence the outside world, which is always exciting. We've seen that happen, right, Mike? I mean, that's how metas shift, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, Morgan invented the Black Order that was a terror
God,
like
yes.
a year or two ago through TTS. So,
yeah.
And Sam Spam as well, right? Was another big one.
Yep, that's right. Yeah. Good point. Very good point. But now, like, Cat and Dog was in real life invention, so to speak, and then we start seeing it more in the TTS leagues. So it always feeds into one another. Can you answer one of the listeners who's live now here on Twitch is asking if Spider Foes are any good?
Yeah, I think foes are really solid. I don't think they're in the upper tier of the game, but they're just like one step below that. I think they're a little bit of like they're not extreme in any way. They're pretty generalist. They can do a lot of different things just fine, and they'll reward you if you put in the reps. Especially Rhino is really great for them.
Yeah,
so.
You have to learn how to play Mysterio, who can be a little bit tricky to get right, but is extremely powerful. And also how to get the interaction between Doc Ock and Green Goblin working with their tactics cards, which are really ball breaking at the right moments.
Yeah, I think Mysterio should definitely be a part of a foes list at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. Thank you, Mike and Nigel. This was fantastic overview. To remind everybody who wants to join up the league, you need to do so by the 14th of May, which is Sunday. Do that before the bracket time, which is 7 p.m. in the local time zone of your bracket that you're choosing. Check the links if you haven't already to figure out how to join our Discord and then how to join the Longshanks League. There's just a few simple steps about what you need to register for, and it's all free, obviously. And it's just one game a night for 6 weeks if you, unless you get qualified for the elimination rounds, and then you get to play another 5 if you want to. So thank you all for coming on the show, Nigel and Mike. It was really great to have you both on here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Norbert. I'll just take a jab, and I look forward to co-commentating any games that you would like me to.
Oh, that'd be great. That would be lovely. And Nigel, once you get your webcam set up, I'd love to have you on the show sometimes too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And Mike, it was great meeting you.
Yeah, likewise, Nigel. Good stuff.
Yeah. And I should mention that, yes, I stream one game a week, typically on Wednesdays, not always via stream. Stream is dr_Norbert, and then I throw it up on YouTube after that so people can watch it on demand. And that way get to kind of help spread the word about the game and hopefully get more people into it and just enjoying the hobby more. So thanks everybody for watching tonight as well. And I hope to see you in season 11 of the MCP TTS League.